Hi friends, it's Becky and I have another tutorial for you. We're going to be making a necklace using beads from my June Beads of the Month clubs. And this necklace is going to be inspired by a necklace from Bridgerton. I've made a few necklaces that were inspired by one specific netted necklace that I was obsessed with it for a long time. And so I've made several different versions in different ways that they look different, but they were inspired by it. And I am 100% inspired by this necklace that Lady Danbury wore on Bridgerton, where we have these clusters of diamonds that are kind of radiating out that look like sheaves of wheat. And it's just an absolutely gorgeous, iconic necklace. And so I want to make something inspired by this because I don't have diamonds. I don't have a way to make little clusters with them. But what I do have are some super duos and some 11-Os and some other Czech glass beads that I can make little wheat sheaf looking guys with, and we can string them along and have them dangle from it as we string it on a necklace. So I'm going to show you how to make these components first. That's the first thing that we're going to do. And then we'll put those components together with some of the fire polish Beads of the Month beads that I got in this last shipment. And we'll have a whole necklace that we get going with that. So let me go over the beads that you need for these components first. First of all, we're going to be using one of these hex beads. It has 2 holes, and one of the reasons that I wanted to use this is because I can string it on the necklace with 1 hole, and I can attach the rest of this bead woven part of the component to the other, so that I don't have to worry about there being room in that hole or something when I go to string it. I can just string through that top hole. And I like the fact that it has these faceting on there, so it looks like a jewel, and it's just going to enhance and be part of this necklace for that. So we're going to be using, for each component, you're going to be using one of these, and depending on how many pairs of super duos you have, like how long it's going to be. This one has 3 pairs. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs, so it's a little bit longer. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think this one has 6. So depending on like which one you're going to do, just however many pairs you have, multiply that by 2 for each one, and that's how many super duos you're going to need. And then right here at the end, I just have another one of those fire polish beads. It's the triangle bead, the one that is kind of like a round druck, but it's got 3 sides that have been table cut. And that's just right there at the end of it, just to finish off the ends. And I've also been using some of the 11-O seed beads from the 11-O Seed Bead Club. This one was this purple one with kind of a reddish finish on it that I think really like helps draw in with the gold and with the red fire polish beads that we're going to be using for the necklace part. So that's the components for our wheat sheaf things. And then we've got, for the actual necklace, I'm going to be using some of these like table cut faceted beads that have like the windows cut out there. We're going to use some more of these triangle table cut beads. We've got these kind of rondelle ones that have that really light, almost pink red going on. We've got some of those. And I've also got these sort of gold tone 4mm fire polish beads. Those are also going to be part of the necklace part. And we're going to string it on garnet colored soft flex, just because I think it'll draw things together a little bit more. And I'm going to finish it off, I want to finish it off with some curb chain and a clasp. I might, when I get to the finishing of it though, I might do a different kind of clasp. I haven't decided yet. But that's what we're going to be using with that. I've got some 2x2 crimp tubes and my magical crimper for crimping the wire when we get to that part. But we're not going to get to that yet. First, we're going to make these components. And we're going to do that using some bead weaving techniques. So I've got, and you don't need a very long amount of wire for each of these. This is about 12 inches of beading thread on this needle. So you're going to want to thread a needle with some. I actually, when I was making these all in a row, I pulled off about an arm's length, not a wingspan, just an arm's length. That's from one shoulder to the outstretched arm when you're holding that out from you. And I managed to get 3 of them from one arm's length and at a time without even having to rethread the needle or anything. I just cut it off and started the next one right in a row, and that's actually, I made 2 of them, and this is what's left on my thread. So it does not use very much thread at all. And I think honestly these would probably make some really great earrings too if you beaded up from here, or if you glued an earring post to the back of these. That would also make a really cool earring, I think. But we're not doing that, we're just making the necklace today. So let's scooch in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing with my beading. And I've got my thread. I'm going to start with one 11/0 seed bead. I'm going to move it down to where I've got maybe 3 inches of a tail. It does not need to be very long. You're not going to be weaving the end of that in. You're just going to need to have enough that you can maneuver it around the thread in order to tie a knot. And right here on this 11/0, I'm just going to sew into it again so that the thread loops around the outside of it, just using it as a stop bead, but this is also going to be part of the design. So I'm going to leave that there, and then I am going to pick up 2 of the super duos. And when I have 2 whole beads, I like to just make sure that both of the holes work. So I'm going to stick it through one hole and then the other before I put it on my needle for good, just to make sure that both holes are good. And I'm just mentioning that in case you see me putting it through both of them. That's the reason why. And I want 2 of those on my needle. It does not matter which holes they go through. And then another 11/0 seed bead. Like that. So now that I've got an 11/0, 2 super duos, and an 11/0, I'm going to take this hex bead, and it does not matter which hole you put it through because they're pretty reversible, front or back. I'm just going to take the end of this thread and I'm going to put it through one of those holes. Like that. And then I'm going to tie a little knot with that end of the thread and the thread coming out of that 11/0. This is just the first knot, just my initial knot to kind of get that attached to my main anchor part of the necklace bead. And I'm just going to tie this knot. Yep. And then I'm going to leave this end because I'm going to want to use it when we tie our knot at the end of this as well. So I'm just going to leave that out of the way. Hold it out of the way if you need to. And I'm going to take my thread that's coming out of the hex bead and that is attached to the needle, and I'm going to go through the 11/0 that's right next to that hole, through both of the super duos. I'm not going to sew into this 11/0 on this side. I'm just going to come out of that super duo right there. Alright, and this is going to be the same for every single one, no matter how long it's going to be. So this will work for the 5/1, it'll work for 6, if you want to do 7 of them. These next steps will work for all of them, but I'm just going to do 3 with y'all, just because it'll be a little bit faster, and then we can get to putting together the necklace. So once I'm coming out of this, if I'm holding it up with top up here and bottom towards me, I'm coming out of this bottom hole on the super duos. I want to pick up 2 11/0 seed beads, not 11 of them, just 2. And I want to go up here and move up to this top hole on this super duo. Just the one super duo. I'm just maneuvering this so that these 11-Os are settling into place next to this other one that's down here. And now I'm coming out of this super duo. I'm going to be sewing into this super duo. Before that, I want to pick up 2 more super duos because we're basically doing a herringbone with the super duos. See there how I poked through both holes before I put it on, just to make sure that both holes are clear. So now I've got my 2 super duos. I'm going to sew right through the other side. And if you need to wiggle it to help them settle into place, you can. They should look just something like that. Sheaves of wheat. So now I want to go from this hole where I'm coming out of the top of that first super duo into the top hole of that second super duo. I'm going to pick up 2 11-O seed beads before I do that though. 2 11-O seed beads. I'm going to sew through this hole. Basically, I'm just kind of zigzagging my way through these beads. I came out here, I went over here, and now I'm coming back through here, and now I'm going to pick up 2 more super duos. And I'm going to sew into this next one so that these 2 sit right there in that little cushiony place between those 2 other ones, just like that. I'm going to pick up 2 more super duos. And now if you were going to do a longer one of these, you just keep repeating that. 2 super duos and then 2 11-Os, and then 2 super duos and 2 11-Os, and just kind of zigzag and work your way through here. You notice that you've got these 11-Os on the side, but you've got some blank spots here. We're going to be filling those in when we come back down through the work. So once you get to the end and you've got as many super duos as you want on there, and like for this one, I kept going till I had 6 sets of super duos on there, and then I came back around. So this is the part where we're going to turn it around. Again, I'm just doing one with 3 sets because I want us to get to the making the necklace sooner. I'm going to pick up 1 11-O, the triangle fire polish bead, and another 11-O. And you can use other beads for this top one. You don't have to use this one. You could use like a 4mm fire polish. That would look great there. Maybe even a 5mm. You could use some bicones. It doesn't have to be this type of bead. I like this one, but you might like a different effect. You might like a different look on yours. So I've got this kind of popped up there. I'm gonna just maneuver it a little bit so it's nestled a little bit better right there in the end, and tighten up my thread just a little bit. Remember, when you pull on your thread, to pull the thread, not the needle. And now it's time for us to go back down through our work until we get to the bottom. So I want to fill in this gap between here and here with some seed beads. So I'm going to pick up 2 more 11-O seed beads, and I'm going to sew into this hole, this super duo hole right here, and then up through that super duo that I was just coming out of. Let me tighten that up, and then I'm going to sew down through this super duo right here next to that one, through this hole on the outside. Basically zigzagging back through the work on the opposite path from how I originally went up through it, so that I can fill in all of those sides with the seed beads. So I'm going to pick up 2 more seed beads. So I'm coming out of this hole on this super duo. I want to sew into this hole on this next super duo down. They're kind of the outer holes. When I do that, I'm going to also, if I angle it right, sew through the inner hole on that upper super duo. Bloop. So that starts to tighten everything up a little bit. And then the super duo next to it, it's a little partner in crime. It's a little pair of super duos next to each other. I'm going to sew down into its internal hole and also through the outer hole on that next super duo down. Bloop, bloop, bloop. It's pretty simple. It's not too hard. All right, so where I'm at right now is I've got my tail thread coming out on this side. Because where you end up is going to be different as far as relation to this tail thread, depending on whether you're doing an odd number of pairs or an even number of pairs. On the 4 of these, I'd be ending up coming down on the opposite side to where my tail thread is. In that case, what I did before I went down through it is take the end of my tail thread, pass it through, and then pull it to the other side so it could be tied. Since I don't have to do that, I'm just going to leave that here for this one. But that's just what I did for my even numbered ones. For my odd numbered ones, I'm going to end up in the same place that I want to be so that I can tie a knot here. But I need to fill in this little space here where we're missing some seed beads. So I'm going to pick up my 2 seed beads, and I'm just going to sew through this 11-0 right next to my tail thread. That's it. And these aren't going to need to be structural. They're not going to be holding up the work or anything like that. They're just there for decoration. So it doesn't need to be super firm or super secure. It just needs to look good. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this. All right, and then we're going to start planning out our placement for our components as we make our necklace. Let me get my scissors. And burn off my ends. Come on. There we go. And that just melts it so it doesn't come off as easily. And now I've got the bead weaving portion of this necklace all done. And like I said, I already made some of these ahead of time. Let's move this out of the way. I'm not going to leave it off of here altogether because I am going to be using these as some spacers in the strung portion of this necklace. But see how I've got different sizes of these Wheatsheaves? One of the things that struck me the most about my inspiration necklace, the one that has inspired me, is just how fantastic it looks to have these different lengths as they radiate down around there. So that might be an option for us for how we're going to have this. Like, we might have the longest one in the center, and then maybe a 3 pair sheaf, and then maybe a 5 next to that, and then a 4, and then a 3, and then another 4, so that it gets you like that more jaggedy, not, well, more of an organic look, I guess, rather than completely planned out sort of situation on that. I would want to mirror them though for symmetry. So that's an option. Another option would be to take them in order and have it be like a graduated one where you start with the longest one and then you've got the shorter ones out like that as they radiate down and out. And you know, I think as much as I love like the organicness of having them be different lengths and alternating, I think I like the look of this a little bit better it's just a preference for me, for my aesthetics. But I do like that other necklace, and maybe I'll make a second one that's closer to that one, because you can do this with all sorts of different colors. And in fact, maybe some white luster super duos with some clear 11-Os with silver lining, and maybe crystal bicones at the end instead. That would give me maybe a necklace that would look a lot closer to this if I was to do those. But that's an option for another day. For this one, I'm going to be using these colors and these beads. So let's grab this guy, because we're going to be pulling in some richer colors. It's going to have a pretty opulent feel to it, I think. All right. So far, so good. All right, so now I need to figure out how we're going to have these in here too. Maybe what we're going to have is, let me figure out how these are going to stack next to each other. So let's put this guy in here, one of these guys. And I want this purple to be in the necklace part, because it'll pull everything together better, I think, to have that in there too. Yeah, I like the shape of that. I think that's going to work well. All right. I'm just going to start from this end and see how long that will be by doing it this way, which means we'll need these fire polish beads. We'll need some of these guys. All right. All right, let's see how far we get with this. I'm just gonna do some stringing now. So I have not, in case y'all were jumping into the comments to talk about the latest episodes, because I think they just released the part 2 of season 3. I have not seen that yet, so please, no spoilers in the comments. It's entirely possible that I will watch it and fall in love with a totally different necklace. You never know. This could happen. I do have fickle emotions when it comes to jewelry. My affections are are like that, but I am going to be doing that this weekend. In fact, after I get done with this, I'm going to start this uploading and editing, and then I'm going to grab myself a beverage and have some Bridgerton for my weekends. It's my plans. All right, so far so good. I like that. All right, let's keep going. Do y'all have some plans for things to watch or do this weekend? I know it's Father's Day. My own dad, he passed away. My stepdad is going to be getting a phone call because he is a dad. We are gonna go to my sister-in-law's house for barbecue. My son can hang out with his cousins and stuff and see what they're doing, but that won't be until tomorrow. We are in full swing with summer, I think. Yeah, I am actually just really pleased that what was happening in my head is going to turn out in real life. It's pretty great when that happens. You know? Yeah, okay, I think that's right. So I'm gonna put a link to my unboxing if you want to see some of the other beads that came in this subscription box. It's the Adornable Elements Beads of the Month, and I get the 11-0 beads of the month, the 2-hole beads of the month, and I have the rotating beads of the month that I'm also getting, and that's what the fire polish beads were. It was the fire polish beads of the month for me this month. So if you wanted to check that out, you could. And they have mentioned to me before that if you see me making things with them and you want some of these beads, whether you're a subscriber or not, you can email them and ask if you can purchase them if they have any extras. Like if you really like the color of these super duos or something like that, or these red beads that are just glorious and perfect. And you know what? This is just really giving me like wine vibes, I think. These colors together. I know that wasn't the curation, but I'm putting them together and they're gonna be wine vibes, I think. With those. So let's get the rest of the strung though, because I love it already. I love it already. Is this gonna be too long? And also I forgot to put on a seed bead between that fire polish bead and that next. Did I move these out of the way wrong? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's 6. That's 4. And I think this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I made 2 with the 5 pairs. I made 4 with the 4 pairs and 4 with the 3 pairs, and I made 1 with the 6 pairs. And that's just the 6 pairs of super duos. When I say pairs, it's the sets of super duos that I've got them beaded up like that. So I'm just trying to get them in that order since I am interrupting their space a little bit in order to get these strung on. Just a little bit. Next, next, next. Maybe I should just move them here so they're all in order, since I figured out how it's supposed to go, but I just don't want them to be in the wrong order. There we go, that'll work. It's entirely possible that I didn't need these beads, but I'm using them anyway. And if I didn't need them, then maybe I will just have to restring this. We'll see. We'll see. The only thing I'm doing is making sure that the faceted side of these hexagon beads is facing the same way as the faceted side that I've already strung on, because you know that we've got one side that's faceted and one side that's not, and so I just want the facets to all be on the same side together. I did it again. Look at that. Alright, so the rest of this is just going to be stringing now that we've made our bits. Alright, so this will be the center of the necklace, and I'm just going to do a real quick fit check. Alright, so I am going to need to do some beading up along the back of the neck. That's what I was expecting this whole time. This will actually place this right on the edge of my shoulder, so, or right at the front of my shoulder. So that's actually a really good placement for all of that. So it'll be front and center, and everybody will be able to see it very easily. But yeah, so we'll get the rest of the strung, and then we will figure out what order we will do our beads for the back of it. These beads, there aren't enough to go all the way around the back. They're just going to be in front with these others because they are really fancy looking beads, and they deserve to be seen. Haha, I remembered. This is going to be a necklace that is fit enough to wear for an audience with the Queen. I'm really enjoying making that with it. I also made this bracelet with those same subscriptions for this month. I made it as part of my bracelet bash, so if you didn't see that and you'd like to watch how I made this, I'll put a link to the part of that video because it's a very long video, and I made a lot of other bracelets with it. I'll put a link that starts just where I start to make this, so you can just watch that if you're interested. And if not, you can just rewind it to the beginning and watch the whole thing. It's like a 2-hour video though, so settle in. This one's not going to be 2 hours because we are stringing things along, and then we are going to have a necklace in no time. Plenty of time to make dinner and settle in for a long haul of watching the show that has inspired this necklace. You know, I think I'm going to wear it while I'm watching. I honestly think that that's the best plan for me, is to sit down and wear my Bridgerton-inspired necklace. One of my Bridgerton-inspired necklaces, I should say. It's just been a really great show for costuming, for I Did It Again, for jewelry especially too. Even though, like, a lot of the costuming and a lot of the jewelry, it's not accurate, but I don't think a single person is watching that show for the accuracy, let's be honest. It's a wonderful flight of fancy. My sister likes to listen to the music. They do like chamber orchestra sort of productions of pop songs in that show, and they're delightful because it feels like era specific, but it's absolutely not era specific, and it's pretty great that way. It's kind of like gives you that same kind of absolutely not, but we're having a raucous good time sort of. It's not historically accurate as that one show that was set in like the medieval times, like Chaucer was there, and there was like jousting and stuff. Knight's Tale, that's it. Yes, that was not a historically accurate show one bit. They had people dancing to Queen. They had people wearing outfits that were way more contemporary, but it was a good, fun show that had great dialogue, great plot. It was a lot of fun, and I really like that when something can be fun. If you make something fun, it doesn't have to be accurate, you know, in my opinion. I'm gonna need all of these, I think. Look how that is turning out, y'all. I love it so much. I love to stop and admire my work. If you're new to my channel, this is something you need to know about me. I will stop and admire my work, and I encourage you to do the same, because that's how you develop that appreciation for the things that you can do, is just stop and say, you know what, I am making something really cool looking, you know. It's always great to stop and admire your work. It's part of the process of being creative, to just step back, take a look at it, as though you weren't the one who made it. And, you know, even ask yourself, like, because I know for me, I will find every single flaw in the things that I make, but in the things that other people make, I will just look at it and say, well, that looks amazing. They are obviously a genius. And so, like, it helps to maybe give yourself a little credit and be kind to yourself, to stop and admire your work. All right, let's see how much longer that needs to be. Oh, not very long at all. All right, not very long at all. Let's do... Let's do some of these and a couple of these along the back. I'm going to do seed bead, 4mm fire polish, seed bead, the red bead, and then a seed bead, and one of these guys, and a seed bead, and hold on, everything that I have on there I'm going to want over here. Now it's going to need to be... There we go. One of these guys. And a seed bead. I'm going to need to spill out more seed beads. So we've got that, and then in between those, I'm going to have one of these. And then seed bead, fire polish, seed bead, and then the red guy, and then seed bead, fire polish, seed bead. Everything that I do on this side I want to do on that side, so that's why I'm going there. And then a seed bead, fire polish, seed bead. Let's try and see how long that'll get me. And you know what, with this extender chain I can just have it be as long as it's going to be, and then this will help it be a little bit longer. It's not really extender chain, this is just some curb chain, but it's great for extender chain because I can attach a little dangle to the back of it, and if I put enough on there then it doesn't really matter how long it is, because the clasp can be hooked to any part of this chain and it'll hold it on just fine. So let's, all right, let me finish this, repeat, and that's what we're going to do, and that's what I'm going to use this extra one for. One, two, one. Perfect. Let's do the same thing on that side. We've got seed bead, fire polish seed bead, and then a red bead. And then seed bead, fire polish, seed bead, and then one of these. And I'll do a seed bead, fire polish seed bead, and then a red bead. What? Seed bead, fire polish, seed bead, one of these guys, and a seed bead, fire polish, seed bead. All right. Oh, that's gonna fit perfectly. I don't think I'm gonna even need an extender chain, because that's like the perfect length, just like it is. I'm still gonna do a little bit of one, just a little bit. Just like that. Tell me that's not gonna be like the best thing ever. All right. I am going to get a lobster claw attached to this end. I like to attach my fiddly clasps, the ones that require dexterity, on the side of the necklace that would be where my my more dexterous hand would be. So if I was left-handed, I'd do it on this side. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to do it on this side, because when I'm wearing it, this is going to face out and this is going to be my right side. Right. I'm using the soft flex wire because A, I like this color, B, it holds up really well, and it is very durable, so I don't need a wire guardian. And I like their crimps because if I use the magical crimper, then it doesn't need a crimp cover, because I am going to end up with just a nice smooth ball of crimp, and I'll explain how when I crimp the other side. Just want to demo it real quick with the fast one. See, there are no sharp edges, and it's a little ball of crimp right there. And let me go ahead and clip off this, because I don't think that this is going to fit through those other beads. That'll be fine. There you go. Bending the wire gives you a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to tightening up on the other side, so it's not too tight. It'll still have some drape. All right, so this end, I'm going to just go ahead and crimp it and attach it to the chain, and then I'll just cut off a little bit of this chain and leave it on there. Crimp tube first. That's how you crimp, right? Crimp tube on the wire first. Go through whatever you're going through, or make a loop. And then you bend it back around, go through the crimp tube again. Tighten up your loop. All right. So the way that the magical crimper works, if you haven't seen it before, is that it has this concavity inside of it. Let me help that focus. Do you see that? And it's on both sides. And all you do is you make sure that you are centered around your 2x2 crimp tube. And it works best on 0.018 and 0.019 wire, by the way, and only works with 2x2 crimp tubes, which is why I am using them on this. If I had a different style of crimp or smaller wire, I might use a different type of crimper. But since I am using this, I can do it that way. And you can see it, that crimp tube centered there in that concavity. So then you give it a smush, and what happens is when you smush it, it only flattens out those corners. So you've got the corners flattened and the middle is nice and rounded. So then you turn it to a different angle and you center it again and you smush it. And then you turn the angle, center it, and smush it. And you keep changing the angle, making sure that it's still centered, and smushing it. You can go around and around. And when you do that, it will smooth out those corners, those sharp edges that we saw during the first one, and leave the middle untouched. And it works really great as a crimp. And again, it's nice and smooth. There are no rough edges, so you can wear it next to your skin without having to cover it up with a crimp cover. All right. So let's just say there. That's probably long enough. Is this curb chain stuff that can be cut? Let's find out. Oh yes, that was easy to cut. All right. So there we have it. Another Bridgerton-inspired necklace. This one using the Adornable Elements Beads of the Month clubs for the seed beads, 2 hole beads, and the fire polish beads of the month. And just look at that. That looks amazing. I am so happy with this. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I will put a link to my unboxing. I'll put a link to where I made this bracelet. And if you'd like, why don't I make a playlist with Bridgerton inspired pieces, and you can watch those if you didn't see the other ones that I made. They were with other bead boxes. So, you know, if you have those as well, you might be able to follow along and do those. So yeah, why don't I make a playlist since I seem to be doing a lot of these. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Happy beading. Bye.